Throughout U.S. history, American political leaders have been required to remain level-headed when in the face of adversity. Dwight D. Eisenhower has demonstrated this through being able to maintain a balance of both strong foreign and domestic policy. As a result of this, he held 2 terms in office. With the strong military background of being the supreme Allied commander in Europe and acting as the Chief of Staff of the Army, Eisenhower possessed much experience in the field of foreign relations. Using this background, the president managed to fulfill promises of keeping peace throughout the Western world, while still maintaining strong ties with the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Eisenhower met the wants of the American people through signing the Korean Armistice Agreement, effectively halting the Korean War that was taking place for the past 3 years. Not only did Eisenhower's actions ensure an end to the violence with the North Koreans, but they also kept in effect the presence of collective security. During the 1952 presidential election, Dwight Eisenhower ran on a platform that guaranteed efforts to prevent opposition from participation in NATO. This in turn resulted in a military relationship among countries capable enough to rival the Warsaw Pact. With NATO secure, the safety of the Western world was ensured through allowing the mutual protection of every member of the alliance. By keeping his promises of creating peace through strong military relationships, Eisenhower managed to receive a 69% approval rating at the ending of the Korean War, compared to a 32% rating when he first took office. Meanwhile, within the United States, the policies of President Eisenhower worked to improve not only infrastructure, but the nation's entire economy as well. Under his administration, the Federal Aid Highway Act of 1956 was passed, which called for the construction of the interstate highway system. This law put into effect the largest public works project that had existed at the time, creating over 41,000 miles of roadway. This partially funded mandate called for states to pay for 10% of the cost, with the federal government covering the rest of construction. Projects such as this helped contribute to an overall improvement of the American economy, as well as presidential popularity. Upon the enactment of the Federal Aid Highway Act, Eisenhower gained approval from over 75% of Americans. Under the Eisenhower administration, the United States managed to gain stable monetary and fiscal policies despite deficits caused from World War II. He believed that we cannot afford to reduce taxes and reduce income until we have in sight a program of expenditure that shows that the factors of income and outgo will be balanced. His philosophy dictated that a balanced budget is necessary before reduced taxes on income. As a result of Eisenhower's policies, there was little to no inflation, combined with a 20% increase in family income across the United States. This rise in American wealth was due in part because of the fact that stock market indicators, such as the Dow Jones Industrial Average, more than doubled in point value. This economic prosperity allowed for President Eisenhower to obtain 457 votes of the Electoral College during the 1956 election, resulting in an incumbent victory. Through maintaining strong foreign and domestic policies, Eisenhower was able to unite the majority of Americans while in a period of apparent communist pressure. A similar instance of requiring the use of balanced policies is that of the Bush administration during the War on Terror. Shortly after 9/11, the Bush presidency was supported by 92% of the American people. Those in support recognized that a leader was needed who could wage a global war against terrorism, yet oversee the domestic recovery of the United States. However, that same public approval dwindled once the population began to notice failures in both domestic and foreign policies, resulting in the lack of a strong balance. A 5.1% decrease in gross domestic product, combined with $10 trillion worth of debt created from fighting the war on terror, resulted in distrust from Americans. It was this distrust that ensured a Democratic presidency in the end of the 2008 election. President Bush lacked the ability to fulfill the need of a strong foreign and domestic policy to combat U.S. threats. Eisenhower, unlike Bush, was able to keep the infrastructure of the United States protected from threats both within and outside its borders, guaranteeing a successful 2-term presidency.